Hey, what's up, my friends? Joey B here once again. I'm going to play a short video for you here to start things off, and it's from Resurrected 2011, and he's basically letting everyone know that the National Defense Authorization Act has been passed. So I'm going to play this video for you, but before I do, I want to remind you, I showed you all the MTV martial law commercials, you know, where the military's rounding people up off trains and right from their houses and whatnot. And, you know, obviously, the legislation talks about any anti-government organizations, okay? And you can look it up that Occupy Wall Street protesters are basically officially classified as terrorists, along with Al-Qaeda, basically. So that's pretty remarkable stuff. I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you, and then I got an article I want to show you, and I'll finish it off with another video. So we'll start off on this one here. And this is an article here from Press TV, and the title reads, Paul, Obama gunning for martial law. U.S. Republican presidential hopeful Ron Paul has accused the U.S. President Barack Obama of pushing for institutionalization of martial law in the country.
The elites have said that they want to have a final revolution, that they know the public's going to revolt against them. So that's why they've scientifically set up the surveillance grid, the cashless society. This whole continuity of government system is designed to suppress and control the people of America.
My name is Sam Ozaki. I'm a native-born American citizen, Los Angeles, California. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, we were all rounded up like cattle and placed into America's concentration camps.
In May 2007, President Bush signed the National Security Presidential Directive 51.
Most Americans would agree that it would be prudent to have a plan to provide for the continuity of government. They have such a plan. They introduced a little sketchy public version that's clearly inadequate, but they said, don't worry, there's a detailed classified version.
Army Regulation 210-35. Now, this was set up in 1986 secretly, and for 10 plus years it was secret. And in 1997, Bill Clinton declassified this, and we were the first major radio show to cover it. Since then, it's been expanded. This lists 12 camps to hold American citizens that have been built by the United States Army.
Beginning in October, the Army plans to station an active unit inside the United States.
Under NORTHCOM, And under the new Homeland Brigade, it was first going to be 3,000, and then 20,000, and then 40,000.
The 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade combat team has spent 35 of the last 60 months in Iraq.
Combat-hardened troops who've been running camps and centers in Iraq are now coming back to the United States to, quote, carry out law enforcement actions.
The Army unit may be called upon to help with civil unrest and crowd control.
The primary purpose of this force is to provide help to people in need in the aftermath of a WMD-like event in the homeland.
Why is the media on one hand saying there are no FEMA camps, but on the other hand, legislation has been introduced to build them? Here's H.R. 645 legalizing what has already been developed, what's already been paid for by FEMA.
The government doesn't build things that are not needed or that there aren't contingency plans that say there's a reason for them. These are the kinds of camps that could be used for political dissidents, just like occurred in Nazi Germany. I think the government's anticipating that there's going to be a increased reaction against the economic downturn.
All of our rights are predicated on a free America. And if we don't have a free America, all of the other questions become moot.
Don't these companies have a responsibility morally if they're in there building camps and building shackles and building barbed wire facing in to speak out?
I talked to the Department of Homeland Security spokespeople, and they affirmed the contract with this KBR, the former Halliburton company, was in place. The Department of Homeland Security was ready to build these contingency as needed detention centers anywhere in the country in the event of any kind of a national emergency, including natural disasters or, again, riots or protests.
The real terrorists are the people that have hijacked our nation that would dare say the First Amendment is terrorism.
Okay, guys, just a quick reminder here of the urban corridor system to protect biodiversity that was discussed at the Bilderberg meetings, and all the red areas are to have little or no human use, okay? Excuse me. And all the black areas are where there will be cities of 10,000 people. So you can see where they're all situated. Now, I'm going to pause it and scroll over so you can get a look at the entire map, and I'll get some of the bottom down here for you. The green will be normal use zones of cooperation. The orange will be Border 21, agreement of NAFTA, 124-mile-wide intercontinental zone of cooperation. The pink will be Indian reservations, so you could see some pink and where those would be. And I told you about the cities and everything else. So I'll get on here. I wanted to also show you the FEMA regions. And if you can recall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, as you can see here. So I just wanted to remind you of the FEMA regions. And I guess I'm just going to close off by reminding you guys about the MTV commercials warning about martial law, okay? So I'm going to play those for you and end the video on that. Much love, my friends. Get this info out there. Share it with everyone. Peace. Okay, I also wanted to include this article, 5,000 plus Occupy protesters arrested. And I told you they're making these people out to be terrorists. That's why I was against the whole Occupy movement from the beginning. Because all it's going to do is bring a police state upon us. And I guess it's going to happen one way or another. So what can you do, I guess? But It says here the U.S. police have arrested over 5,000 people attending anti-corporatism protests across the country over the past 3 months, a report says. And I think that number is going to rise tremendously because more and more people are becoming aware and getting fed up. They're going to get pissed off, take to the streets, you know, and you see people riot over sports. People are so dumbed down these days, and I'm not classifying all the Occupy protesters in that category. You at least have to be aware of what you're protesting for, and a lot of these people aren't, and they're just there and because it's cool to join in, and everybody should join in, but we can do it another way. We can do it, you know, there's got to be other ways. We just need to look into it more, maybe use their own political system against them somehow, and find a way, find loopholes through the laws and legislation and everything. But, you know, when you're going against the people that make the legislation, it's kind of hard, I guess. But anyhow, I'm just rambling on. I got one last article I want to remind you guys about before I finish off this video. I just wanted to compile a lot of things I've already talked about into one video so people could share it and get this information out there. So I'll get to this next article. I had already made a video on it early today, but I'm going to include it in this video anyway. Okay, Police State USA. This article is from globalresearch.ca by Washington's blog. And it says here, explaining to a 5-year-old why the indefinite detention bill does apply to U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. And like I said, I already made a video on this particular article earlier, but I wanted to include it in this video where I've compiled all this info into one 15-minute video. And it's basically the whole bill described very simply so you can understand how they use the leverage of words to trick people into thinking, oh, it's not used against U.S. citizens. But it says here, hold on here, let me find it. Okay, the bill says that the military must indefinitely detain anyone suspected of helping bad guys. One provision says that the mandatory indefinite detention doesn't apply to U.S. citizens, but the government can indefinitely detain any U.S. citizen it feels like without trial, without presenting evidence, without letting the citizen consult with a lawyer, without even charging the citizen. This would destroy the constitutional rights to trial, to face our accuser, and to consult with an attorney. Take away all your rights, basically, right? Indeed, it would destroy rights created in England in 1215. I mean, in other words, it's like saying you don't have to lock up Joey for the rest of his life because he's called you a mean name, but you can lock him away and throw away the key, then falsely accuse him of being a suspected terrorist if it would make you happy. And it goes on to say, this is why Congressman Justin Amash wrote, Senators McCain and Levin have teamed up to promote one of the most anti-liberty pieces of legislation of our lifetime, S. 1867, the National Defense Authorization Act. This bill would permit the federal government to indefinitely detain American citizens on American soil without charge or trial at the discretion of the president. It is destructive of our Constitution. A few commenters have suggested to the person who wrote this article that the dangerous provisions in S. 1867 discussed in my previous post do not apply to American citizens because of this language in Section 1032. The requirement to detain a person in military custody under this section does not extend to citizens of the United States. This language appears carefully crafted to mislead the public. Note that it does not preclude U.S. citizens from being detained indefinitely without charge or trial. It simply makes such detention discretionary. And it goes on to talk about all kinds of stuff. And like I said, I'm running out of time to read it all, but it says here, don't be confused by anyone claiming that the indefinite detention legislation does not apply to American citizens. It does. There is an exemption for American citizens from the mandatory detention requirement, Section 1032 of the bill, but no exemption for American citizens from the authorization to use the military to indefinitely detain people without charge or trial, Section 1031 of the bill. So the result is that under the bill, the military power to indefinitely imprison American citizens the military has the power to indefinitely detain American citizens, but it does not have to use its power unless ordered to do so. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. All the links are in the description box below. God bless, my friends.